Fallout New Vegas is my second favorite game of all time, and one of the reasons for that is all of the different ways you can handle pretty much any situation. That said, I've never gone all the way in and done a full pacifist run of this game. That's why today I aim to find out, can you beat Fallout New Vegas as a pacifist? Waking up in Doc Mitchell's, I name myself Pacifist because I love a good pun. I then basically just give one of the defaults black hair so she looks more like me and move on to my special stats. I drained everything out of strength, perception, and agility, since I wouldn't be needing them this run, and maxed out endurance, charisma, and intelligence. The leftover stat points I just put into luck. Never know when I'll need to make some money on the strip. Looking back, draining agility was a mistake. I really needed more points in sneak this run. In fact, my low sneak ended up changing the entire trajectory of the run at one point, but we'll get there later. For now, I tagged barter, speech, and medicine, and took good-natured and wild wasteland as my traits. I had planned on taking good-natured and skilled, because skilled is the trait that I take every time I play this game, but then remembered I wasn't playing on PC where I have all the DLCs. I was playing on Xbox where I don't. Oh well, I'll just play on PC next time I do a run on this game. I went into Good Springs and decided to do the Ghost Town Gunfight quest in order to get some early experience. Despite the fact that you'll say you'll help the town in their fight against the power gangers, this quest can be done without lifting a finger. Listening back to that, I realized I said power gangers instead of powder gangers, and I could re-record it, but honestly, if I have to have the image of dynamite-carrying Power Rangers in my head, then so do you. I got Trudy's help and got Chet to give the town some armor, and then watched the battle unfold. Trudy decided not to wear the armor, so she ended up dying in the process, but the town was saved. I then made my way straight for Vegas, sort of taking the Black Mountain shortcut. My version of the shortcut still takes me through Black Mountain, but it's a little bit different than the way most people do it. I don't go the way with the falling boulder, what's called the Indiana Jones shortcut by a lot of people. Instead, I just make my way up to the back of Black Mountain until I've marked it on the map, fast travel to Black Mountain, and then run down the front as fast as I can, all the way to Vegas. I did stop by the RepCon headquarters on the way to Vegas to get the Brotherhood of Steel holotape. You see, I was wanting to side with the NCR for this run. House and Caesar were out of the question because I feel like blowing up the Brotherhood of Steel's bunker doesn't really fit the pacifist theme I'm going for here. I don't know, call me crazy, but I just feel like blowing up an entire faction isn't really a pacifist thing to do. That just leaves Yes Man and the NCR. I felt like the NCR would be more of a challenge because you can't just go meet a faction and then leave. You have to actually do some quests. Leaving the RepCon headquarters, I made my way for Vegas. Now I clearly didn't have the 2,000 caps to get past the credit check. If I'm siding with the NCR, I can't use the King's favor to get a passport, and I didn't pick up an NCR uniform. So it may seem like I'm out of luck as far as getting onto the strip. But honestly, it's really easy to just run past the two guards and get on the monorail anyway, even if you don't have the uniform. Entering the strip, I ran into Victor. And since I hadn't met him yet in this run, I got some unique dialogue that I've never seen before. This started a trend of this run of doing things in this game in ways I haven't done them in the past. I made my way to the tops, saw Benny, and leveled up twice. Then, since the Platinum chip isn't required for the NCR's questline, I decided to turn right back around and just let Benny hang out at the tops. I went and talked to House, and on my way out, I got greeted by an NCR trooper who told me to go see Ambassador Crocker. I can't be the only one who thinks of Crocker from the Fairly OddParents when I hear that name, right? Anyway, I go talk to Ambassador Fairy Godparents, and he tells me to go and enlist the help of the Boomers. But before I did that, I wanted some more experience, so I went to Freeside and helped a group of Elvis impersonators who had somehow taken over the whole town. All the King's quests can really just be completed by running back and forth and talking to different people. And while I'm playing this walking simulator, I want to ask y'all to go down below and hit that like and subscribe button. I'm trying to make a job out of this, and every subscription goes a long way to making that a reality. Thanks in advance. When I was done with my tour of Freeside, I saved my favor from the King for later, because I needed to have them strike up a peace with the NCR. I made my way to Nellis and began to help the Boomers. First I went about getting the power back on for them, because the power plant had been overrun by ants. Loyal gave me a radio to place down. They would play them a soothing melody and put them to— oh no, its head just exploded. But at least it wasn't people, and technically I didn't do it, so pacifist run still valid? Still valid. Continuing on the list of things I've never seen in this game before, when I left, I saw a bunch of the Boomer children, and because I had a high enough charisma stat, I was able to get boomer fame by talking to them. In all my years of playing this game, I've never had enough charisma to do that. Didn't even know it was something you could do. Anyway, I played Doctor for Argyle and listened to Pete's bedtime story. I even asked him some questions afterward to get just that little bit more fame. I had also been picking up scrap metal whenever I could, so I ended up with just enough fame to not quite be idolized yet, but still continue on to the final mission for the boomers. I got the rebreather from Jack, and made my way underwater to the bomber, so as to not aggro the lake lurks. After that, I could have gone back to Pearl to enlist the help of the boomers, but instead I decided to check out the Brotherhood of Steel. I had just gotten the last holotape from Nellis, so I figured it couldn't hurt to go ahead and start this questline. I decided I was going to be allying with the Brotherhood of Steel this time, because I felt like blowing up the entire faction didn't really fit the pacifist vibe. I've also never gone all the way and actually joined the Brotherhood of Steel in this game. I usually just blow up their bunker as soon as I can, so this is another on the list of things I'm doing differently this time. I used the holotapes to get in, get strapped with the bomb collar, and then deal with Dobson. He was outside of his bunker, so I could have just destroyed his radio, but I haven't maxed out my speech skill for nothing, so I just talked him out of the area. The next part of this questline is to just go and talk to some Brotherhood scouts, so I did that and reported back to Elder McNamara. Next up is going into 3 vaults to get 3 parts to fix the bunker. I went into one vault and then got distracted by going back and enlisting the help of the boomers. So it wasn't entirely a distraction though. One of the vaults is actually a whole lot easier if you've already met the cons and agreed to do a quest for them. So I decided I would do that vault and the other one once I had already met the cons. While I was on the strip returning to Crocker with the good news, I decided I'd stop by and deal with Mr. House. I was afraid the pacifist run was about to fail at this point, because normally I just kill Mr. House here, but I found out that you can actually just not kill him, just disconnect him from the strip, and the game counts it just like you killed him. So the pacifist run is still valid, if you don't count those ants earlier. Then Crocker sent me to go deal with the Kings, but I had already helped them out, so I just cashed in that favor to have them strike up a truce with the NCR. Crocker was done with me at this point, and he sent me on to report to Colonel Moore of the Hoover Dam. She sent me to try to break off the allegiance that the Great Khans have with the Legion. I made my way to Red Rock Canyon, and immediately began undermining Papa Khan's authority. First I went and saved Anders, and then I kept doing quests for Jack and Diane, so that I could get into Vault 4 for the Brotherhood of Steel. The fiends on the outside shot at me, but they were easy enough to make it past, and the ones on the inside weren't hostile. When you get into the vault this way, you can just hand motor under the package, grab the pulse cleaner out of the locker behind you, and just walk out. I then decided, since I was so close to finishing the Brotherhood of Steel's questline, I would just go ahead and finish it up. I made my way to Vault 22, which is honestly, in my opinion, one of the coolest examples of environmental storytelling in the entire franchise, and returned to the Elder and asked to join the Brotherhood of Steel. He had one more job for me before he would let me join, and that was to go to Black Mountain and turn the radio back on. While I was up there, I fixed up Rhonda and completed the crazy quest for some experience, and then pickpocketed the key off of Tabitha. Honestly, I just didn't know about the key under the rock at this point. Like, it was right there. I did not have to save scum in order to get the key off of Tabitha. I then realized I would have to go to Cottonwood Cove in order to get a book for Regis to convince him to break off the alliance, which means, unfortunately, I couldn't just leave Benny be. I went to the tops, talked to Benny, and walked right back out the door. For some reason, that spooked him enough to make him flee the strip and run toward Bunker Hill, which is coincidentally where the Legion was set up. Volt Base, an agent of the Legion, came by and gave me an invitation to hang out at their clubhouse, which I accepted, but only because I needed that book. I went to the fort to grab the book, and decided, might as well go turn on the Securitrons underneath the fort, just in case this somehow turns into a Yes Man run. I then decided to go try and reach Melissa in Quarry Junction. And this right here is the point where my low sneak skill would change the entire trajectory of this run. I tried so many times to sneak past those Deathclaws, even using Stealth Boys, and I tried a couple times to just run past them, but nothing worked. One time I thought I had done it, as I actually managed to reach Melissa in the cons, but then I remembered Obsidian didn't exactly know what an essential NPC was in this game, so this just became a Yes Man run. I know I could have loaded back and tried some other way to reach Melissa, but honestly I had been trying for so long at this point that I just gave up. In my canon for this run, Melissa got mauled by Deathclaws, and since there's no other way to get the cons to break off the alliance with the Legion, except for assassinating Papa Khan, which I'm not allowing in this playthrough. Yes Man it is. I went and met Yes Man, installed his software, the Lucky 38, and then continued on the story. Now, I was dedicated to actually not just meeting each faction and then moving on. I actually wanted to do the quest lines for all of the factions that I needed to meet. Well, except for the Great Khans. We already saw how that went. So I headed over to Gamora to deal with the Omertas. I talked to Kachino, got Troik to destroy the weapons stash, and we went up to deal with the head honchos of the Omertas. I convinced Nero and Big Sal to turn on each other, and then Kachino finished up the winner. Now with the Omertas plot foiled and Kachino in charge, I turned my attention to the White Gloves. In continuing with the theme of doing things I've never done in this game, I decided to side with Mortimer. I let Ted out of the freezer, and then told Hecka I didn't know who kidnapped him. I then told this guy to get in a dumpster and reported back to Mortimer. Well, that was everyone I had to get to know, so I reported back to Yes Man, decided not to save the president, and continued on to the endgame. The hardest part about the dam was trying to get across without my game crashing. For some reason, my Xbox just did not like this part of the game right now. Don't know why. It's New Vegas. Anyway, I of course talked down the Legate and General Oliver, beating Fallout New Vegas as a pacifist. I know last week I talked like next week you were going to begin the finale of my Avowed playthrough, but I need another week to finish that up. The game turned out to be a lot longer than I expected. So next week you're going to get another video that I've kind of been sitting on. It's the first part of a new series for the channel, Rebuilding the Commonwealth in Fallout 4 Survival Mode. In the series, I'll be digging into the settlement building features of the game, and it's my first time ever playing on survival difficulty, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I'll be looking forward to that next week, and because it's something I always wish other creators would do when they do challenge runs of this game, let's roll the ending slideshow.
And so the courier who had cheated death in the cemetery outside Good Springs cheated death once again, and the Mojave Wasteland was forever changed. The courier, with the aid of Yes Man, drove both the Legion and the NCR from Hoover Dam, securing New Vegas's independence from both factions. With Mr. House out of the picture, part of the Securitron army was diverted to the Strip to keep order. Any chaos on the streets was ended. Quickly. Chaos became uncertainty, then acceptance with minimal loss of life. New Vegas assumed its position as an independent power in the Mojave. Preferring neither the best of the NCR nor the worst of the Legion, the courier was the woman responsible for a truly independent New Vegas. She had removed Mr. House from power over the Strip and broken the influence of the NCR and Caesar's Legion in the Mojave Wasteland.
Tabitha and Rhonda went east, through Caesar's land. Occasionally, tales of their exploits found their way back west, though few believed them. Eventually, the stories concerning the duo were collected and published, and proved to be quite popular with children.
Though the wasteland became anarchic after Hoover Dam, the Boomers' display of power dissuaded fortune seekers from attempting to penetrate Nellis.
After the courier ensured New Vegas remained free, the followers found that independent Vegas was even more unstable and violent than before. Old Mormon Fort became excessively burdened by the influx of patients, struggling to provide even the most basic of services.
With New Vegas's independence formally declared, Good Springs thrived. More travelers stopped by Good Springs on their way to and from the Strip, and the locals grew prosperous from the traffic.
Following the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, Freeside came to be known as one of the more stable areas in the region. Ironically, NCR refugees found Freeside safer than most of the rest of New Vegas, where resentment still lingers.
Armed with a wide array of improvised explosives and stolen weapons, the Vault 19 powder gang tormented the Mojave Wasteland for years. Citizens of the NCR were favorite targets, and they always suffered the worst fates.
And so the courier's road came to an end, for now. In the new world of the Mojave Wasteland, fighting continued, blood was spilled, and many lived and died just as they had in the old world. Because war never changes.